something very important in societal development, and that's the issue of jungle justice. I'm being joined on the program today by two gentlemen. Of course, in the media we call everyone men, gentlemen. Well, you see, there's a gentlewoman officer that would also be joining me on the program. The Public Relations Officer of the Nigeria Police on State Command, Fumilayo Dolami Omisoya. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining me on State of the State.
Good morning, sir. And let me say this, in the first.
You are also men. Okay, then. So we're all gentlemen then. Reverend Father Leroy Weshola, it's nice to have you join me on the program too.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
Now, I think we should hit the nail on the head and just set the ball rolling. And I'd like to start with you, the PPRO. If you look at what transpired in the state of Ondo a few days ago, the issue of jungle justice in the case of a suspected internet fraudster. People said he was a fraud, internet fraudster, and so there was this mob action against him owing to the accident that led to the loss of some lives. Many commentators of the view that it speaks largely of the ignorance of the people. Some are saying it also speaks volume of the lack of confidence in the Nigerian policing system. Which one do you agree with more? I know you want to say ignorance, but then let me know your view as far as the issue of confidence in the policing system of the Nigerian state is concerned.
Thank you. Well, what I believe in and with what I know, what happened on Monday, the jungle justice, was just born out of ignorance of the law. It was born out of ignorance of the law. I think I've been on this program times without number, and we keep talking about billable offenses that you can come from home, just get a shorty. In this particular case, there was an accident. Now let's clear it this way. Just one person died. 6 people were injured.
Just one person died? 6 people were injured? So wait, I think just a moment, that where came the narrative that on the spot 3 people died?
That is where the challenge is. Most times these things comes with ESA.
Okay.
6 people were on the ground, injured. Nobody thought of taking them to the hospital.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just the mentality that if anybody is down, the person is presumed dead. And until the police got there and took these same 6 people to the hospital, one person died via the accident, and the other young man that died, the driver, was through mob action.
Okay. So
we do not have stories of 4 people dying, because I've seen some people even on social media justifying it. How will he kill 4 or 5 people and you expect people to leave him? Even if he had killed like that, there was an accident.
Okay.
Even if he was an internet fraudster, it was never in their place to take laws into their hands. And on the issue of confidence in policing system, like I said, ignorance of the law is part of the problem. If a case has been reported, the police knows that this case is bailable. Get a shorty, come from home, and come back anytime we need you. Via your shorty. However, most times, immediately people see the other party outside, they're just like, no, police has collected money. That's why the person has been released. I'm saying it here. Let any family that had accident cases with the police that was reported that the police didn't take up, even to get the vehicle back, you have to go for VIO inspection. There are processes to these things. But a lot of people do not know. Even those that have been involved in accidents knew about some of this process, but they will never talk about it. That's the problem. Okay, someone who says, I have a case to report, and the case has been reported. The suspect has been seen, and we find out that this is a bailable offense. And we tell you it's bailable because this other party too has an attorney. If you do not grant this bail within 24 to 48 hours, a civil suit will be filed against you. A suit of fundamental human rights. That's why you're keeping this person. Except there is nobody to start shorting. Except in cases where sometimes, releasing this person will jeopardize justice. All these things we keep talking about. But for certain reasons, some of us have sealed mind. Because whether we like it or not, accident victims have been to the station, some have been to the court, and I believe some of them are alive. But they will never talk about it. And the kind of setting we have, when it is not favorable to me, I say negative about the police. When it is favorable to me, I say positive about
Does that not also speak of communication with the people in appropriate manner that will make people see reason with actions and inactions of the police?
Like I said, a lot of people are aware of those things, but for reasons best known to them, they decide to seal up their mind. Victims of accidents have been to the station, they've been to the court, and none of them will talk about it. Okay, for example, before the election, we had to roll out electoral offenses. But do you know some people still committed the same offense? Was it based on ignorance? Was it that we didn't talk about it? We had a kind of joint formation with JDPC before now. We talk about so many things. Yes votes, no to violence. We had some relationship with a lot of people. The NOA came too. Did a lot of orientation. But we still had...
Now, the issue of jungle justice we're talking about, let me come to you for that question. Like, if you look at it, it seems that even when we were still in the primitive age, this wasn't our practice. Now that we talk about civilization, is this the adverse effect of civilization? Why is it that people cannot really wait for law enforcement agencies to take proper steps in handling situations such as this, and then they resort to taking laws into their hands?
Well, for me, there are a lot of factors that we need to consider, but let me start by saying this, because when people talk about civilization, people always feel that civilization is doing things the new way, what is in vogue. Civilization, in the real term of it, is enlightenment.
Okay.
It is supposed to be for the progress and development of the society. Like what our police officer just said, a lot of things that have to do with laws, we're not having that before. It was civilization and enlightenment that brought some of these things to us.
Okay.
Before, in the African context, yes, we know that we respect a person, the human person as a person. But when it comes to bringing in the terms like fundamental human rights, these are part of the things that civilization brought to us. So it is enlightenment. So it's not when I'm doing dreadlock and I'm doing tattoo, that's what you call civilization. Because your dreadlock and the tattoo, how does it relate to the progress and the development of the society? But mind you, I am not trying to castigate those doing that. Is that one for me is just fashion. You can't say that is what civilization is about. Civilization is enlightenment. For instance, when you talk about industrialization, we all know what industrialization has brought to the development of the human society. But it still doesn't mean that civilization does not have its own disadvantages. For instance, you see a lot of people criticize capitalism, which is part of enlightenment, which is part of civilization. So, having put that aside, with the issue of jungle justice, you see, for me, I feel that there are a lot of things we need to... You have talked about ignorance. The police officers have talked about ignorance, that a lot of people don't know a lot of things. And you see, that is as against enlightenment. Because if you are enlightened, you will know that in cases like this, for instance, I'm enlightened. I am not a lawyer, but I know that if somebody mistakenly kills another person, like the issue we had on Monday, you can't call it a murder. You call it manslaughter, because it was not premeditated. That is me being enlightened in that area. So when you are not enlightened, it creates a lot of problem, and that is why you can't allow ignorant people to rule a society, because what you are going to have in your hands will just be crisis. Like this particular situation, it's about justice. Yes, some persons will tell you that they don't believe in the police system. See, the system itself is faulty. We can blame the police from now to tomorrow. Yes, it doesn't mean that there have not been situations in the past whereby somebody who is supposed to be within the police custody is no longer there illegally. We are not saying that don't happen. But then it still doesn't give anybody the right. You cannot presume that I met a policeman on my way coming here who is asking me for a bribe. Does not mean that I have to look at her as someone who collects bribe. No. You have to deal with each person based on your experience.
Not bring close to profiling.
Not by profiling, because that's exactly part of what happened.
Okay.
We are talking about jungle justice generally, but we know that we have a context here that has made us to come here today. The situation that happened in Akure on Monday, which is a very, very, very sad situation, because now most people, they see that once you are young and you look successful, they feel that you are a fraudster. But then there are a lot of young people who are very hardworking. It is still part of ignorance. That it doesn't mean that you see somebody who is young and who is successful, it doesn't mean that the person is a fraudster.
So the fact that I put on generator all
through the night
does not mean I'm an internet fraudster.
You don't even know whether I'm using my last penny to put on that generator because I cannot deal with it. But then I already have it in mind that tomorrow morning I'm not going to take the breakfast that I'm supposed to take, because the money I'm supposed to use for the normal breakfast I should have, I have used it for generator, for petrol. So that is the way the situation is. And when it comes to justice, because people will tell you that when it is linked with the police, they will say it's because people will not get justice. People should also understand that justice serves three sets of people. It serves the government, who is supposed to be the government brings out the rules and protects everybody. That's why we have the police, for instance. The justice is also supposed to serve the person who is coming forward to say that, oh, I have been maltreated, or I am a victim of a circumstance. And also the defendant. Justice is also supposed to serve the defendant. For instance, the situation that happened on Monday, would you go to court and say that that person should be charged for murder? Would that be justice? Because it was not a premeditated thing. It was yes, we could say that probably the man was reckless. Till today, we don't even know what even led to the accident. People were not bothered about that. And you see this so-called new generational thing that we do, this bad attitude that we have no respect for human life. Because for me, it's also what I see. You get to an accident scene, and the next thing people are doing, they are bringing out their phones and they are taking pictures and taking videos. For God's sake, is that the next thing to do? When you have people who are wounded on the floor, it should be our first. In fact, when it comes to cases like that, the people around should be the first respondents.
So humanity should be
the first thing
that comes to
and we know that when it comes to health, time is about everything.
Of course.
Maybe if now that it has been put on record that 6 people were injured, we should even be grateful that those persons are still alive. Yes. Because the delay that had happened in that place could have led to the death of more people.
Because many have also presumed that 3 people were already dead at that point.
You see, that's another thing. This misinformation and disinformation that we have on the social media, this bad use and unethical use of social media, people carry a lot of rumors. And you see, I still talk about enlightenment. That I read something on the social media, like for instance on that day, I had somebody telling me that they said 6 people had died. I said, I don't believe 6 people had died. I am not denying the fact that the incident had not happened. I have seen some of the videos. But to just come and say 6 persons had died, who is making that statement? Until the police comes out with an official statement. Because
it's not backed up by medical record anyway.
Because people carry a lot of news out of emotions, out of sentiment. People carry a lot of
your point is well made. Let me quickly know something from the PPRO. The version from the mother of the lynched person now, that's the boy that was alleged to be an internet fraudster. The mother did say no, that it was a Uber driver, and that they only came home for Easter celebration. That's another version of the story. While maybe people were saying no, it was on a mission, I mean, he was on a mission for money ritual and all of that. What did the police find out? At the end of the day, when it made your investigation to a certain extent, what did you find out?
Well, first, like I said, the first interview I granted, we actually can't confirm if he's an internet fraudster. Then what still, most of the things we will have used as evidence, which includes his phone, the vehicle, if he had searched via the MTD personnel, had all been burnt down. The mother saying the boy is an Uber driver, that's the version of the mother. We had to do our own background check, ask questions. We've had, we saw this, we saw that. But we need people who were
this or that. Are you talking about the allegations that some people are saying they saw the toys, they saw this, let's be clear,
pampers and some other things. Although I think when I was listening yesterday to the interview with the mother, the wife of the deceased, she said she had a piggy bank in that car. Perhaps maybe the piggy bank was what they thought was a coffin.
Okay.
But of course, the investigation is still on. And we can't start talking about this until we've done it thoroughly. And like I said, most of the evidences that we'll have found in the vehicle, and even from the young man, because most times by the time you start interrogating the person, you ask some salient questions, and by the time he gives you answer, you can deduce the kind of person is. But unfortunately, major evidences are gone. We've seen some people saying, we saw 3 tortoises, we saw this. Of course, all those people will be brought in.
How many people have you taken in now?
2.
On what basis?
Yes, one is actually a principal suspect. I don't want to start describing him.
Oh, of course. But one would like to know why you will also label someone a principal suspect.
Yes, because directly
of a mob action.
Yes, yes. I will tell you why he was labeled principal. Because when you check the pictures and the video, he was the one holding the young man, eating him. It was obvious. And with the clothes he used, everything. And of course, when he was brought in, he didn't deny. We have informants too. The other person was the person that set the vehicle up this. The videos are everywhere.
Yeah.
So when you pick some people, there are people that were there and they were just looking. They were onlookers. Some were spectators just looking at what was happening. While some were in the act. So someone that was actually in the act, what do we call people like that? But of course, we don't want to say so many things on air because we just have to finish with the investigation first.
Now, while you are going on with your investigation, let's talk about the issue of profiling. Most times you find law enforcement agents also, maybe I should dare to say, erroneously profiling people as internet fraudsters, erroneously profiling people as what they really are not. For instance, someone just in the heat of the day going with maybe a sleeveless dress labeled as an internet fraudster, or someone, you see, this is now getting common, tinted hair and all of that. Now, how do we tackle the issue of wrong profiling of people with criminal labeling?
Okay, let's say it this way. I wouldn't want you to say police are profiling some.
I have not talked about police directly.
No. I'm a police officer.
Okay, so you want to say
I said something. I said when you start interrogating people, from what they say, you can deduce 1 or 2 things. From what you have just said, you're talking about police profiling some young men to be internet fraudsters. That's what you're saying indirectly. Okay. So let me come out plain and say it the way it is.
Okay, say it.
Yes. That one, it is not that police officers are profiling anybody. However, we have the right to ask questions. When you suspect, when you reasonably suspect
the questions
anybody,
are based on suspicion.
Yes, when you reasonably suspect anybody. Sincerely between you and I, if I see you around 10 a.m. blasting music in your car, and you are just doing some freestyle, naturally I would want to stop you and say, hello. It could be that you were acting. You know, most of these kids people, they will not even inform you about it. They just come, you can just, hello, consider others on the road. You are not the only road user. It happens even in the house. That's one particular flat or one particular room will be blasting me so much that others will not be able to sleep. When we understand that this your style is somehow, you can always call for caution, like, hello, can I meet you? And if a lot of people have been stopped on the road too, and like, can we meet you? My name is Fumila, your Dunami Messiah. Okay, safe journey. Sometimes people will ask more questions. As an undergraduate, NDLEA keeps stopping most of our student vehicles. They will stop you, and sometimes they will just look. And they will say, come down, and they will search them. Sometimes they find stuff with them that even some of us in the vehicle will not even know about. But sometimes some of us in that same vehicle will complain. What is it now? Is it because they are students? Why are you stopping them? Reasonable suspicion.
Okay.
There are some things they see that you might not see.
So, sorry, Father Arigoshola, I'll come to you, but let me be done with that. Now you've talked about the angle of the police. Let's talk about the angle of the people. I know because of security operatives, that's why you are quick to also talk about that part. Now, the case at hand, people are quick to profile him as an internet fraudster. Maybe for any reason that we do not know. Why do you think people should also profile other people in a certain way that led to this kind of injustice justice?
Like I said, in profiling people sometimes, even if it is reasonable suspicion, I will keep saying this, if you suspect anything, that's why I say when you see something, say something, not take laws into your hands. perhaps, maybe from their own point of view, his lifestyle looks like that of an internet fraudster.
Okay.
The first point of call is the police, that this person's movement is suspicious. From the look of things, he's of this age. We notice.
How many of such cases have been reported to you, and what have you done to such cases?
A lot have been reported. A lot.
All right,
let me tell you this. Even when they tell us,
okay,
we still will not divulge who the informant is.
Very well.
We just go in there and make some arrests.
That's talking about the confidence in the police.
Yes, invite those people. Sometimes do SW.
We will do more on this subject matter just after this break. Please stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
Monday morning was a Black Monday to residents of Ijoka Axis, just as Christian faithful were planning to go to Galilee and other recreation centers to mark the end of the 2023 Easter celebration. A fatal accident also occurred that got social media platforms busy. It was the lynching of a suspected internet fraudster alleged to have killed some persons for rituals. Ijomimo Junction in Ijoka was the exact point where the incident occurred. According to an eyewitness, a Toyota vehicle suddenly surfaced with high speed and ran into a tricyclist, got them injured but refused to stop.
I was here yesterday in the morning, around something 8 o'clock when this one started. The motor was just running, the Muzu Camry. The guy was just using one of Marua and one bike man. Then we think maybe it was going to wait at the front, but later we consider it still continued on after hit another person at the transfer power line in Red Junction.
According to another eyewitness, he didn't stop there but rammed into another victim at a junction called Power Line.
I was racing and I only heard a sound like this. I thought it was the brake of the tire of the vehicle. But unfortunately, when I came out, I just made 2 cups. People were lying on the ground. Carry him, but unfortunately, as for me, I just watching them. I couldn't move closer to them because I was afraid.
The last port of call where the driver later met his Waterloo was Odupo Junction, where Osrc camera lens captured the burnt Toyota vehicle, which was beyond recognition, and the spot inside the Corvette where Tope Olorunfemi, the driver, was lynched by some angry mob. All efforts to get information from residents of the area proved abortive until Bale of the area, Agbaja of Akure, Chief Sunday Oyinbo, said he heard the sound of the incident and came to rescue the situation, but left the moment he saw a lifeless body on the floor, which is traditionally forbidden for his status as the head of community.
Nígbà tó ẹ máa ṣe táwọn bọ́ọ̀sì yìí lo àwọn gẹ́ẹ̀ tó ń múra bí múra aláṣẹ́wó wọn wá kọ́ ọlọ́pàá wá dé tó ń lùgbẹ̀ sí lu ìbọn tí a ga sókè wọn lọ tó wá kó máa ṣe àwọn tó wà ní sọ̀rọ̀dín tó wọn kó lọ sí station. Àmọ́ ìròyìn tí mò ń gbọ́ ìròyìn tó bára mu ni ilé ayé àtọ̀ irú àwọn ìròyìn yẹn ra nǹkan tó ń ba ìlú jẹ́.
Reacting, Ondo State Police Public Relations Officer Olufumilayo Odunlami Omisanya confirmed that 2 suspects traced to the lynching of the alleged fraudster have been arrested. She cleared the air on the purported number of fatalities doing the round on social media.
There was an accident, and rather for people to help the victims that were on ground, they resolved into mob action, a kind of jungle justice, killing the driver of the vehicle and also setting his car ablaze. As I speak to you, 2 suspects are in custody, and we intend to arrest them. There are processes. There is a reason why there is a law. Jungle justice is never the answer. It's a sin against nature, taking a life you cannot create. 6 were injured and they are in the hospital, while 1 died, and the young man in question was the second person killed.
The PPRO advised road users to carefully adhere strictly to road signs while driving to avoid unforeseen circumstances. Physician in charge of University Medical Teaching Hospital, Akure Annex, Dr. Adeshino Akinto, where those with injuries were taken to, has this to say.
6 patients were brought here alive, and 2 were brought in dead. Okay, the 6 that got here alive, 3 had some minor injuries, 3 were severely injured. For those who had minor injuries, the 3 have been discharged. Okay. The other 3, 2 of them are currently on admission. 1 had discharged against medical advice, and the 2 that were brought in dead have been deposited at the mortuary. The 2 that were brought in dead, the 2 were males, and 1 was the one who died as a result of the accident. The other one was the one who was attacked by the mob, was killed and set ablaze.
As at the time of filing this report, 3 out of the 6 injured victims have been discharged. 1 withdrew voluntarily, while the remaining 2 are still receiving treatment. Omoriola Humbiji, Osrc News.
Welcome back, everyone. Sights and sounds from the scene of the incident that happened in Akure on Monday, and from also critical stakeholders that have talked about the incident. The doctor, the police spokesperson is still here, of course. Now, that's an unfortunate situation, I must really say, and it brings to mind what also happened in Ile-Ife, Obafemi Law University, where a student was alleged to have stolen a phone and then was also beaten to death. Now, this is becoming a trend that should not be encouraged by any reasonable human being. Reverend Iweshola, what exactly is the nucleus of this problem? What's the fulcrum on which this problem is turning? Where are we getting it wrong? That's leading to jungle justice. Apart from this issue of ignorance, yes, we can be saying ignorance from now to the end. How do we tackle it? Because if we know the source, we're able to tackle it.
Yes, it's really hard to tell because, for instance, the one that happened in Akure, the evidences, what should have served as evidences have been destroyed. Because sometimes investigations into matters like this, that is how you get to the bottom of the matter. We talked about ignorance, and probably maybe part of the argument I would have even put up for the one that happened on Monday is that when you look at the scene, what are the calibers of people who surround that place? Let's not even just talk about enlightenment alone. Let's even talk about level of education. What was the level of education of people who surrounded that boy that day? Could it have been possible that we'll have highly educated people do such a thing? But then, another one that happened at OAU, that is within a university system. So it becomes more confusing because you cannot say that if you have low educated people there. So what happens to the one that happened within a campus? So for me, that's why I feel that it's apt to and that's why investigations matter. Now, there are a lot of permutations that could have come into it. Even while we're on commercial break, we're saying some things off the mic. And the one in Ijoka, some people were saying it's out of envy, it's out of jealousy. In fact, some were even quoting someone at that particular scene, saying that this boy is spending money, he's wearing this, what we cannot wear, he's wearing it. And someone is tagging it as envy. And you could say that, yes, the person has every right to say that because the evidences are there. Those statements point to that. It's another thing for us to now prove whether it's actually the case. But the one that happened in Ife, some permutations were like, okay, what if he was a cultist and a rival cultist looking for a way to take him out, and they found an opportunity, they found a window. So anything could have been the cause. But at least in this context, I mean. But when you have police coming into the situation, investigating it, they are able to unravel them more.
You're not a police officer, so I think it would be very apt to ask you this. What do you think, as a Nigerian, that the police still need to do more if we're going to find a solution to this problem of jungle justice?
I will start from the system. Those who employ the police, those who put up the police system. Let's be frank with ourselves. Are the police well equipped? Are they well orientated? When it comes to recruiting them, when they go to their police academy, how long do they spend there? Are they well evaluated? Is it this same Nigeria where a police officer buys uniform for himself? You go to the police station and you have to be the one. You need the services of police, probably to arrest a criminal, and you have to be the one to buy fuel in the car. Or you go to a police station that does not even have light, or you pay for foolscap sheets to write. And when I'm saying this, I'm saying out of experience. It's not that they said. These are the things that I have seen myself and I have gone through as a person.
Okay.
Is that the kind of police officer that you want to even perform his or her duty to the full way that he is expected to? Go to the police barracks. What are the status of the barracks? People who live in that kind of a place, how do you want them to be psychologically? Do they have the enabling environment? I have heard a police officer told me that he cannot even put 2 of his vehicles on road. Had 3 or 4 in the mechanic workshop. And how to fix them is his headache. It's not the headache of the police system.
Not his personal vehicles now.
Not personal vehicles. Patrol vehicles. Patrol vehicles, okay. Yes. How much do they give DPOs to maintain their vehicles in a year? These are issues. And we have to talk about them. I'm sorry, she may not be able to say that here. But we, the citizens, are concerned. Because they are the ones we rely on to protect us. So we cannot say that because they are not doing their work. Yes, there may be some bad eggs in the police system. There are bad eggs everywhere. Even in churches, there are bad eggs. There are bad men of God. But we also have to be truthful. We have to be honest. We cannot close our eyes to those things, those factors that are not enabling them to do their work very well, and just put all the blames on the police. I am not saying that the police itself don't have its blame, but we have to look at the system, where you put them. It's just like what is happening in the House of Assembly, National House of Assembly, that the legislators are coming together to say, if you are a medical practitioner, you must practice for 5 years before you can travel out. And I'm asking, were you the one who sent them to school? These people are going, this brain drain. You are not addressing the issues. Look at our hospitals. Look at in some hospitals even have generators. Surgeons cannot perform surgical operation. So these are issues.
Of course.
So we need to establish that fact that a lot has to be done on the part of the government. And then with the police too. The police also, they need to make themselves more friendly. In the past few days, in fact, I'm happy that she's here. I've forgotten his name now, the National PPRO. I used to follow First PPRO. I used to follow him on Twitter, and I've seen a lot of cases that he's attending to presently when it comes to police brutality. You know, when, for instance, somebody who has become a victim in the hand of the police, something happens to approach, the person will not want to approach the police because of the past experience that you already have. So if our government can do a lot to put the police system where it should be, where it ought to be, so that many of these men and women who are sacrificing their lives day in and out, especially the honest ones, the truthful ones among them, a lot of them want to do, but they don't even have the means of carrying out their own duty.
Before I go to the PPR, you're also a cleric, and so we must also not shy away from that fact.
Yeah.
Parents, if you agree with me, also have a lot to do with this matter. For instance, if you're a father, and I'm talking about biologically now, would you like to see your son in that kind of a video carrying stone and stoning someone for alleged offense that cannot be substantiated yet?
I won't even wish it for my enemy. Because what that man went through, it's really, really sad. I can't even imagine the agony the parents will be going through.
So what should parents do?
See, we talked about profiling. And like I've said in some places too as well, that when there is a problem in a society, problems are not tackled, they become a crisis. And that is the most difficult, that is the most dangerous thing. This issue of profiling, how did we get here? That is the question we should be asking ourselves. And I will tell you how we got there. Our core values are thrown out of the window. In those days, even when a man meets a woman, young man meets a young woman, people will ask, Ile wo lo ti wa? You say, my parent, this is the person I wish to marry. They will ask you, where is it from? Who are his parents? Who are his families? Why are they asking those questions? Because of integrity. It matters to us in African culture. At least, I don't know a lot about all cultures, but I'm a Yoruba man and I know a lot about Yoruba culture. And that is the question we normally ask. Ibo lo ti wa? For so many reasons, such that if there is a kind of stigma in that kind of family, they will be wary that that child may have the same issue, and we don't want our child to end up in the life of that person. When you see, I have been, apart from the fact that I'm a priest, I have been to university system. I have studied within a normal university system, and I always find myself within a university system for other purposes. I have seen things that don't augur well with me. For instance, you see a 21-year-old, 22, 23-year-old boy driving an exotic car. Cars that even permanent secretaries with their salaries may hardly afford, or probably take note to get such cars. And nobody is asking a question. Nobody is raising a question. And sometimes you see some of these young people, their parents see them with all of these things, they don't ask questions. And that is where this problem of profiling started from. And it became the thing, it went into vogue. It's almost everywhere. And when these things are not addressed, it starts sinking into the heads of the public. I used to say something, see, when a lie is told consistently for a long time, it becomes the truth. Just when a bad habit goes on consistently for a time, it becomes the norm of the society. So when you see a parent who does not ask his, when we're very young, you go to school, you come home with a pen that is not yours. Where did you get this pen? I remember my mom will follow you. If you say, I lost my pen, my friend borrowed, okay, don't worry. That's your friend. I want to see him tomorrow. And they will follow you to school. And they will ask you, did you lend him this pen? And what betide you, your friend says no. You are in big trouble. I remember those days you are in school, they will just come and call you from the class. The principal wants to see you. You will be like, what have I done? I have not done anything. You will enter the principal's office.
To say there for the parents are sleeping?
You will just enter the principal's office, you will meet your father or your mom. Unexpected visit. They just want to come and check whether you are in school or not. Or when they went to look for you, whether you were actually in class or you were not in class. So parenting is a big factor. Our parents, they need to do more. Everything in life is not about what glitters and what is gold.
The police spokesperson also has a lot to say on that. But we talk about this the other time, and we cannot emphasize it too much. Some would tell you that yes, someone arrested, we're now seeing him outside. You talked about bailable offenses. Of course, these are things that should be in public domain. some of the view that that is the reason for jungle justice. But is that enough reason for people to go into jungle justice? I think you should address that with
just like what the priest said.
Mind.
If we are saying the one that happened here in Ijoka, that it was one out of ignorance, what do you say of the school system? One of the highly rated schools in Nigeria. I think basically, like what he said, we've lost some of our core values. There is no value placement on life any longer. Because when you value life, far from jungle justice, like I said, there was an accident. 6 people were injured. Nobody, not even one person, bothered about those 6 people. All they went for was the driver. Value placement. If you place so much value on lives, what would have happened would have been taking everybody involved in the accident to the nearest hospital. While some will be holding the driver down, that you are going nowhere, others will rush to take care of this.
It could have been more appropriate to hold the driver down and not
and
kill
call
the
the
driver.
police.
That's the point you're making.
Yes. While some are holding him down, let others help the 6 to the nearest hospital, even if it's for first aid. But now, nobody cares about anybody. There is an accident. Some were spectators. Okay, I can't, like, what's this King Caesar? No, he's not Caesar. What's this? Pilate. I'll wash my hands. I cannot join the mob action. But I can spectate, I can watch, I can record. So what happened to those 6 people? Well, so if truly the story is that there was an accident, he didn't wait, he was running, some people were running after him. What about those that were not running after him? What were they doing? They were recording. If there is value placement on life, you understand that. Save this life first. Like what he said, these things are timed. If someone is bleeding and nobody is coming to help, the person will end up bleeding to death. So I think basically, we should still go back home. What kind of training are we giving our children? What are we saying to their ears? What kind of practice are we practicing? Because most times, children do not grow with what you tell them. They grow with what they see.
Yeah.
They keep it in their memory. If you tell them, don't steal, and they see you stealing your husband's money, they will steal. And one day, thank God, this generation, they call themselves gens, old generation. Immediately you go out, they will still go inside that pocket and remove money and say, how dare you? I told you stealing is essential, but mommy, you removed money there too now. And sometimes, because of guilty conscience, you will not even talk and say, don't go there again, no. Don't go there again. But will it change anything? You started it, and they will learn from you. So even as parents, what are we teaching our children? Now, we all must go back to there is dignity in labor. Like what he said, when something bad starts happening gradually and nobody is saying anything, it becomes a norm. That is another problem. Yoruba will say, growing up days, it's the parents that will start shouting, I don't know where you got this from, it's not working, If your child is an undergraduate and is coming home with Lexus, is he into skit making? Is he doing online trading? Is he into Bitcoin or anything? Ask questions. Just don't sit and say, now I will pepper my enemy on the streets. My son has a car. How? You have been working for years. Is it that easy? But if you say, okay, this is a computer age, there are a lot of things online that can help them make more money. Let these children come home and tell you about it. Let them convince you. If this is your child, a child that grew up under you, even as a foster parent, when a child is lying sometimes, we have some that have oratory spirit that they can convince you beyond reasonable. But there is a way your child will talk that you will know that this child is not saying the truth. If you are not too convinced, go and do your own background check. There are other people around like, please, I heard there is something like this online now. Please, how do I go about it? If you are not too sure of this generation, maybe aging, you can look for somebody who is also computer literate. They are bros, I know you know about Bitcoin or something. Please give me an explanation. So that when people are talking, you can stand up and defend your child. And this still goes back to religious homes too. Most times the best seats is always meant for the rich. Why? We have churches where they say the rich are friends to the rich, the poor are friends to the poor. When Jesus came, he was not like that. So the question is, the home has a lot to do. Religious leaders has a lot to do. Community leaders too has a lot to do.
So what will the police do?
Ours is to apprehend offenders.
Yeah.
We are to enforce the law. And
When will the Nigerian policing system get to that proactive measures and not just reactive?
Like I said, to get to proactive measures, as we are thinking and doing some things, we need the cooperation of the community. We need the cooperation of others. We said something, if you see something, say something. In the situation whereby somebody called and said, I'm suspecting this person, his movement, his way of life. That's a proactive measure. By the time we go in there to invite the person, we go with SW, search warrants. We search the house. When we find something incriminating, of course, we'll come out and we'll tell the person, please, can you please explain this to us? So if you can explain beyond reasonable doubt and we do some of our own checks and find out that you are innocent, we apologize. Sorry for the inconveniences, but we all are working to having a better country. Then we'll let you go. But if otherwise, then we'll take the person to court. If somebody is being suspected and maybe doing search warrant and SW, we found a human part. So how do we explain that? You just have to come and explain to us. What are you doing with it? What kind of job are you doing? Are you a medical doctor? Yes, maybe you're a surgeon, you did operation and decided to take part of the... Do you understand what I'm saying? It's part of the proactive measure. But security business is not everybody's business. Because whether we like it or not, even if we have divisions in every street, we cannot be everywhere at the same time. So we need others to assist us.
All right.
Yesterday night, I got a call that there was kidnapping and a robbery around the Jew. I called the DPO, I called anti-kidnapping, I called that. Then somebody called again and said, it's fake information. I said, false news, false information.
Somebody has to go and check.
We got there, we saw everything, and even when the officer was telling me, that was not what really happened, I said, but we are there. Because we are trying to build that confidence. If somebody just said, hey, please don't worry again, it's actually fake news, and I tell them to go back, they say, should we even call police? We didn't see police throughout. So, in as much as we are doing some of our own intelligence gathering, we need the people to support us.
But to what extent is government also equipping you to do this whole thing? Reverend Father Emotional talked about the incapacitation or the inadequacy of the logistics that you need to use for all of these things.
Sincerely, I must appreciate the government and even the leadership of the police, the current leadership of the police, IGP Usman Alkali Baba. He has really been trying. And at least, if he has been to the station recently, you'll have seen